Okay, Robert, we're going to dig into that right now. Great to see you for a closer look at how tax policy will play into the 2020 election. I want to welcome Jared Bernstein, who served as Vice President Biden's chief economist and economic policy advisor. He is now a senior fellow with the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities and a CNBC contributor. And joining us is Adam Michel. He is the senior policy analyst with the Heritage Foundation. Thank you both for joining us. Adam, I'm going to start with you because you're on the opposing side of what Vice President Biden had to say on Friday. You look through those numbers. Is your issue with the capital gains tax on the individual issue, on the individual tax basis, or on the corporate tax component of this?
Well, thanks for having me on. I think the biggest problem here is raising the corporate tax rate away from where we currently are, which is in line with our economic competitors around the world. As you noted, even left-leaning tax analysis will tell you that the corporate tax is paid by workers, at least in part, and workers across the economic spectrum, low-wage workers all the way across, and they pay that through lower wages. And right now is certainly not the time that we need to be discouraging businesses from expanding here in the United States, from raising wages here in the United States. And so I think that raising taxes on business or anyone, for that matter, is the wrong response to the current crisis that we're in.
Hey, Jared, explain this. And I tried to ask the vice president twice about this issue, which is, why try to raise corporate taxes now? Meaning, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We will be still trying to recover. If he does win, we'll still be trying to recover, I imagine, next winter, if not longer. Why make that a centerpiece of a tax plan when clearly the goal has to be more jobs? And we're now looking at we're now looking at numbers that suggest this might make that even more challenging.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, first of all, if you actually look at the historical record, there's really no correlation between where we put the corporate tax rate and job creation. That has much more to do with macroeconomic trends. And the conditions now are, of course, just as bad as they could be. So I'm very sympathetic to where you're coming from. When Joe Biden becomes president, he's going to raise the corporate tax to 28%. But he's going to do that based on the economic conditions as he sees them at the time.
Well, let me go back to Adam then. And Adam, would you, assuming that there was more wind at our backs, let's assume the economy recovers or is in a much better place. Let's assume the economy was where we were, let's say in January or February. Do you think that we should think about raising corporate taxes at all? And let me also suggest to you that in the past 3 months, we've learned that the government is now providing effectively a corporate insurance policy. Some people call it corporate welfare for every company in the country. And should companies be forced to pay for that in some way?
I don't think that we need a higher corporate tax rate. As I mentioned, we're already in line with competitors, including those in Europe, when you add in state rates. But I think going back to what we've seen historically is that countries that are coming out of recessions like the one that we're entering and the rest of the world is grappling with is that if we exiting these, if we raise taxes coming out of them, we actually prolong and deepen the recession. Instead, countries that address growing debt, large deficits by addressing the spending side first, figuring out how to get our budget in order by reducing growth rates and spending, those are the countries that see faster economic growth, better recoveries. And so my fear is that we're going to not learn the trends that we've seen in the past, and instead try to balance the budget or pay for new spending through additional tax increases like the ones being proposed by the vice president. And instead, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot and making it harder to climb out of the current economic hole.
So, Adam, if someone comes to you and just makes the blanket statement, just without showing you the studies, that there's no evidence that corporate tax rates have any effect on job creation, and that if we had a 40% tax rate here in the United States and you see companies moving their operations abroad where they're employing people abroad, not employing here, don't you think you should counter that when someone makes that statement and it just goes without any argument whatsoever that there's no effect on job creation here based on a corporate tax rate? Can't you say something back to Jared? I mean, that's why you're here on the debate. I'm not going to say it, but I figured maybe I'd let you try and counter that point.
You just said it. Wait a second. Can I get in here? Because that's,
Adam, that's why he's here. That's why he's here.
We know that when tax rates go up on businesses, they cut jobs, they raise wages much more slowly or not at all. And that's borne out by any number of studies. I pointed to, and you cited the Tax Policy Center, left-leaning organization that has built into their model that the corporate tax is ultimately paid at least a portion by workers. And I think most of it, if not all of it, is paid by workers. If depending on the studies you look at. And so it's just fanciful to think that we can jack up the corporate tax rate and not lose jobs and not lose wages.
Just need a little prompting.
It's just fancy.
I mean, Jared will